Hello and welcome to a new episode of Carlubetv. I'm here with Kat. You might remember Kat from a previous video where you wrapped my roof on my old Scirocco.
I did indeed.
And you also did the wrapping of your very sparkly Z4.
Yes.
Those videos can be found. I'll put a link in the description below so you can see those if you want to see Kat again. She also runs this Capacita.
Capacita.
I've always called it Capacita.
It's fine. Everyone gets it wrong.
Okay, Capita.
Capacita.
Okay. Customs, and actually Kat wraps for a living, so this is what she does full time. She does everything for wrapping, and you're going to do a few things on my car today.
I am.
So just to talk you through what I want, and you can give me your opinion on what is the best solution for that.
Yep.
So what I'm looking for first is I want to have a Sunstrip on my car, but I don't want an illegal Sunstrip, and I don't want a vinyl on the outside.
Okay, so a tinted Sunstrip is going to be the best thing for you then.
A tinted Sunstrip.
Yep.
Okay. And what material would you use for that normally?
Generally speaking, because when people want a Sunstrip, they want it to be able to kind of block out the sun, but if they want to still be able to see through it, that's when I recommend a tinted Sunstrip. And 9 times out of 10, I do a limo tint, so it lets through like 5% light. Okay. So even at night, if you pull up at traffic lights, you can still see the traffic light through the tint. You do still get some sun through it, because obviously you can see through tint.
So we're going to do that. We're also going to have a look at the front.
Yes.
Now, on the front of the car, I want to do the open mouth, which means vinyl wrapping the bottom part of the grille. Mm-hmm. You'll be okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do is I'll put knifeless tape, follow the lines of the grille, flow it down, and then just wrap that little bottom section, and then you've got the impression of a wide mouth grille.
Because there will be a splitter going on here as well, so it will kind of just... It's very noticeable on light-coloured cars, definitely on white cars, and it really is noticeable, but less so on a grey, but I think it'll look good anyway.
You'll definitely still notice it. You can still see the difference between the gloss black already on the car and the grey of it. And yeah, you'll definitely notice it. And I'm glad that you're doing it before fitting the splitter. Yeah. Because a splitter would very much be in my way.
Okay, all right. I'm going to talk to you about that kit as well, from your experience of fitting that stuff. Okay. Another time. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do is, now you might notice, I've already got tinted windows on the back 3/4 of my Scirocco. However, they're not very dark. So you're going to attempt to do the rear 3/4. Mm-hmm. Today we're not going to do the fronts, although I am still thinking about that.
It's not legal to have your fronts done.
It's not legal, no. So I'm going to concentrate on the back window here and the 3/4 as well. Now these are manufactured tints. Yes. They came with the car. Yep. What would you say the level of that is at the moment?
So in here, a lot of things, obviously the angles of the car, you're looking down at it at the moment, you're just seeing the black interior. But if you go down to the level and look through it, I'd say normally from factory, they're kind of in between what we call a medium smoke and a dark smoke. Okay. So dark smoke lets through 20% light, medium smoke lets through 35. So I'd say it's, generally speaking, in the middle of those two. Okay.
And so to make it up to what, I mean, you might find on potentially on Audis, they tend to do darker smokes as standard. Yes. BMWs as well, other cars as well, but they tend to be so much so that you look at it, you can't really see in.
Yeah, Audis and Mercedes at the moment, I'm finding their factory tints a lot darker. Yeah. But I'm still having people want limo on an already dark tint, and then you cannot see anything inside. Yeah. You can still see out marginally, but not massively.
No, I want to be able to see out the back.
Yeah.
But what do you suggest then in that case is the best solution to make it up to a darker tint?
If you don't want limo, I'd suggest either a medium or a dark smoke on this. That will then take it dark, but it will then be quite close to limo, so maybe probably a medium on it.
Okay, and you've got a couple of samples that we'll be able to have a look at.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well that's the basis of the video, guys. We're going to get on with the work and show you how it's done. Yes. Yeah, the car was clean last night, and it was.
To be honest, normally when people clean cars, I always feel really sorry for them when I tint them because I make them a bit grubby.
Yeah. So you're just going to stick a couple of patches on now, are you?
Yeah, just so you can have a look. Obviously, I've not cleaned it. It's not. This is not how you tint.
So we can see these two patches on here, dark and medium. It's difficult to see in this light on camera, but actually in real life this one is much darker.
So if I change the lighting, so that's kind of like more of a dusk. You've either got really bright or dusk.
I think we've got to go dark.
Yeah.
Just go dark on all of them. Brilliant.
This is why I said I wasn't bothered about a dirty car.
Yeah.
Because I covered it in talcum powder.
Talcum powder?
Yeah.
Oh, why is that?
It's so the tint doesn't stick. I only need to do it on the very back window because there's a curve.
So you put talc on the back window of my car, it's going to look like I've been at a crime scene and forensics have been on it.
Yes.
Just explain to us this part you're doing here, Kat.
So obviously I've put talcum powder on to make sure that the tint doesn't stick in certain places. I've put a wet H to secure it down. But obviously where you've got your spoiler, I need to just flip it and make sure it goes past where all the dot matrix bits are. And just trim it, because if the tint's not flush to the window, I can't shrink it properly. Because with tint, you shrink it. With wrap, you can stretch it. They're both very different from each other.
Okay. And how many years is it you've been doing it properly and professionally? We're talking...
So I started wrapping in 2017 and I started tinting in 2019, so a couple of years afterwards. And that was only because I had a lot of people wanting tints. So I went on a course and had a lovely gentleman called John who taught me how to tint.
I remember you tinting a shed once.
Yes. Yeah,
that was one of your first, wasn't it?
It was one of my first, actually. It was tinting a shed. It was for my dad's best friend. His man cave.
Yeah.
He wanted it tinted.
I think you did a mirror tint or something on that?
I did, yeah. And for a first ever tint, it was probably one of the hardest ones I've ever done. Nike glove on. This glove stinks as well. Because tints go on wet, obviously the glove gets damp all the time.
Yeah.
And it then goes in a sealed plastic box, so it never gets a chance to get aired out or anything.
So it's full of fungus and mould.
Smell it. It smells like vinegar. It's disgusting, isn't it?
It's strong.
Now for the shrinking process. I've put wet marks across. Now some tinters, they cover the whole the whole window in water and just wet shrink it, but I personally prefer dry shrinking. It's how I was taught, it's how I've always done it.
Okay.
It works for me, so... But lots of different people in the trade have got different ways of doing things. And you have to put the tint on in a specific direction, because otherwise it will not shrink, because they will only shrink that way, will not shrink that way.
I've said before, and I'm not a big fan of tinted lights. I like red lights. I don't know.
Me personally, not because I do it for a living, but I prefer tinted lights. So my truck, the back of it, the back lights are black. How's
the shrinking coming along? Because that looks like there's loads of bits in it.
There is. So it's dry shrunk at the moment. What I'm doing now is just now wetting it completely underneath, and you will soon see the magic happen.
So just because I'm thinking this and other people might be thinking the same thing, you put talcum powder on the window behind this.
Yes.
Made your H of wet.
Yep.
Now, is the talcum powder not going to go on the side that's going to be stuck, or is this the side that's going to be stuck?
This is the side that's going to be stuck, this side. So obviously I've curved it, I've shrunk it to fit the curvature of the screen.
Yeah.
This side actually has a film over it, like a clear film over it.
Okay.
So that would then be taken off once it's all
leaving
finished.
The sticky side?
With the sticky side exposed, then that sticky side is what gets stuck to the inside of the window.
Okay, all right.
But
when I ask you these questions, it's because I'm a kind of simpleton in these regards, and I'm just catering for anybody else that might also be simple out there.
It's absolutely fine. So a funny story with this. When I was doing my tint training, the tint instructor, John, he said to me that if I could answer his question correctly, I would get my tint course for free. Now, it was quite a sizable amount of money for the tint course, but he says if I can tell him what this is and what this feels like, and he gave me 2 letters, and that was GA. Feels like a GA. And if I could tell him what GA stood for, he would give me the course for free.
A giraffe.
It stands for...
Oh, right, okay. Okay.
Would never have guessed it, would you?
And I suppose if anyone else wants to know what that GA stands for, they'll probably have to attend the same course that you did.
Yes.
So now, what do you call these parts here? These are legs, aren't they? Or
fingers.
Fingers.
These are fingers. So obviously I've gone over it with the squeegee, and the majority of it is flattened out. Then I've just got to shrink these last few little bits to make the whole thing completely smooth before I can then trim it. And then once trimming it, there might still be a couple of others that come up, just heat them. There's just a few step process that's got to be done.
Okay.
They are now gone. Now, I'm not going to be cutting down to here anyway. I just like to try and eliminate all of them.
And that's worth bearing in mind, actually. All the way around this window is a black bit.
Dot matrix.
That's what it's called, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So you effectively only need to tint into that, and then it wouldn't show the edges anyway. That's why you don't need to remove the trims.
Exactly that. So there's no point tinting past it because you don't see it. So you just trim to just a couple of mil on the outside of the dot matrix for a nice finish. I've put a light on the inside. I've got my little bit of cardboard on the other side of the tint so I don't scratch your glass.
And you're just fine lining it.
Yeah, just cutting just around the edge of that dot matrix. Obviously I've changed the light setting in here so it's not as bright so I can see better.
So you've been right round the edge now, trimming the edges off.
Yep.
And what's now? More heat or?
Potentially, so I always just go over it, see if there are any more little fingers that want to crop up. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To then prep the window for fitting it.
So that's all nicely shrunk now, all fingers gone.
Yep. It'll never sit flush to the board because obviously it's now actually at a curved shape. So now I've got a different solution. This is to scrub your back window because as much as you think your window might be clean.
I've never cleaned that window.
Okay, it's definitely not clean then. But got to make sure there are no
contaminants.
Yes, that one.
And you can actually see from the inside how shallow that window is when you've got the trims on it actually as well.
Yeah. So there is going to be like a bit of jiggery pokery to get it in and then a very thin squeegee to
tuck it under, yeah. And I suppose from this angle as well, you can see how transparent that glass is, can't we? Mm-hmm. Why did you take that off, Kat?
I wasn't going to, but because it was so tight to along here, trying to tuck the tint in, I wasn't going to take anything off, but I changed my mind. Now hatchbacks, you can take it all off in one go and fit it in one. But saloons, the process is completely different. And now I act like a mummy. So it's just a case of wiggling it around to make sure that all the black dots around the edge of the window are completely covered by tint, so you haven't got an edge that you can see from the outside. I just kind of give it a little smooth over with my hand, just to get the main big air bubbles out. And I normally go over 3 times with the main squeegees. First one with the little yellow one. So where your spoiler is so close to the dot matrix, obviously there's a few fingers across here. This way you just use the last little bit of heat on the inside just to eliminate these ones.
So how's that looking now, Kat? Is that pretty much done? Oh, that's very black.
Because of the angle.
Again, the angle, yeah. So you can still see through it?
Yeah. What about if I change the light settings?
You switch the light off. Yeah.
Yep, you can still see out.
I think that was the right choice. So that window's now complete, is it?
It is, yep, but I won't, like I say, I'm not going to be putting any, like that trim bit back in just yet. I'll wait until the other windows are done and probably the rest of the stuff that I'm doing. Just triple check all the edges, because obviously where it has gone through a big process of being shrunk and then applied, it just gives it a bit of time to dry out, and if there are any little fingers that pop up, I can just smush them down once it's all dried out.
And just put some clarity on something I've been told in the past. This is not the first car I've had tinted windows done. I was told once that sometimes you will get the odd bubble that might pop up, but then the heat of the sun will, over a 2-week period, disappear it.
If it's a big bubble, no, that won't go away. It's only if there's ever so slight little faint ones, you will probably, if there was to be a bubble, you wouldn't notice it so much on this because it's already tinted. You only tend to notice them if it's a non-tinted one. But that's also why I go over it 3 times, do the edges, and then check the edges before it goes. Never had any that have had a bubble come back up.
Yeah.
So you can't use your rear heated screen either for a week, only a week.
Onto the first side window. Process is exactly the same, I should imagine. It's just less shrinking.
Yeah, so I put these ones on wet. I don't put talcum powder on any of these because they're not as complex. And again, I've done the same sort of principle where I've done like my H fingers in a vertical way to be shrunk. Because even though these windows look flat, they've actually got an ever so slight curve to them. These side windows as well, the dot matrix is really close to the edge of the window.
Okay.
So it just means that when I'm trimming this down, I need to make sure that it is right to the edge of the window so I can make sure that all of the dot matrix is covered. And you've also got, because your rear windows are also heated, because you've got heat lines in your rear windows.
I don't know if they are heated, you know.
They are. You've got heat lines in your rear windows.
Oh, okay.
Because down here, there is like a little, you can just make it out. Can you see that there's a little square? That's where your little heater element is, and obviously you've got your lines.
So, Kat, you've shrunk both side windows now, and
Yes.
you're going to put them back on the board, ready to insert those into the car.
Yep.
That's it. You clean my trims off. That's good.
I'm getting all the water off for you.
Scrubber. Okay, Kat, that's back windows now completed, side and rear.
Yes.
You're just putting the trim back on now, are you? Perfect. And I was stressing about taking that off, wasn't I?
Yes, yes.
At the top, I think you just pinch it at the top and bottom, and then it sort of splays it slightly, and then they just
That's
come
what I'm
off.
trying to do.
Do you like the word splayed?
Not as much as I like the word flan.
First job on doing the Sunstrip is removing the interior mirror, which is fun.
Yay!
Well done. So shall we discuss what the best tint is, or the tint film for the top of the window now? Give me the options.
Normally dark smoke or limo. I do limo more often. However, I did a van yesterday and he only wanted dark smoke. It's personal preference. Obviously, limo will eliminate the sun the most, which is the purpose of a Sunstrip, but it's down to you entirely. I can pop a bit of each over and then you can make a decision which you'd rather.
I'm kind of going with dark smoke at the moment, but yes, if you could do that, I would like that.
Okay, perfect.
I've made a decision.
Dark smoke?
Limo.
Limo. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's dark smoke.
Bit of limo tint now being cut down.
Now, based on where you were saying to have it, see, I think it's going to look odd there, personally. Right, do you want to get in and make sure you're happy with where that bottom line is?
Let's test that. Okay, I usually have my sun visor down all the time. It's slightly lower than that, but not actually where I sit. I can just see a bit of it, I suppose. It's quite low.
But you can still see through it.
I can see under it.
If you want it higher, I'll do it higher. I'm just saying, aesthetically on the outside, it looks better there.
I think it does need to go higher by maybe an inch. I think I'd be more comfortable with that.
Well, it's your car. You have it how you want it.
Split the difference. There we go.
Now check it.
And that's with it about an inch higher than it was, and I would say I'm happy with that. Kat, we have a go.
Cool. FYI, it's only half an inch high.
I know, that's what I said, split the difference. And guys, obviously we're doing a tint on the inside, so we're not going to see this line in the same way. It would just sort of mould into all the other black around the windscreen, so that's what I'm after. One of the big disadvantages, I think, of a Sunstrip is that the wipers go over it, and it can knacker your wipers, and also, as far as I'm concerned, it scratches the vinyl as well. You don't need to concur with that for your clients, Kat.
I don't agree anyway.
You don't agree?
I have an external Sunstrip. I like to block out all the sun.
So basically all the things you've done on your truck are the things I don't particularly care for.
The world would be a boring place if we all like the same thing.
This is Kat's vehicle with some very styled exhausts coming out the top there. Obviously this is a promotional material vehicle for her business.
I think this has to be the world's smallest tinted Sunstrip I have ever done for anyone. But then James is not a particularly short person. Tall people require short Sunstrips. Now I've got my fingers, because obviously it's quite a curved screen. Shrink them down. Whilst he is outside currently admiring my truck. Or not, because I've got lots of things on there that he doesn't actually like. Creating lots of little snakes.
Are they called snakes now, or fingers?
No, they're fingers. They're fingers like this, and then I turn them into little wiggly snakes. Look, wee, wiggly snake.
I see.
See?
Yeah.
Your dot matrix on a lot of vehicles, dot matrix are normally raised. So you can feel them on the inside of the window.
And you're saying it's not on a Volkswagen?
Nope.
That's helpful.
That
was going to be one of my questions, actually.
Because when the tint goes on the dot matrix, and it is raised, it can make it look quite silver, but you won't have that problem.
Good. Tint is all shrunk, and we're now to the point where we're going to clean the inside, I should imagine.
Yep, take this off, put it on the peel board, clean the inside, and then fit it. Ah, it's so cute.
It's only a small one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You can see Kat there scrubbing again.
Just a little scrub of me. So I don't try and carry the whole piece flat like this because of how long it is. Obviously any parts of the actual tint can't touch anything, because then that's where they get the contaminants on it. So I wet the whole thing. I cut the lining, and only the lining, not the actual tint, down the middle.
And then leave that side floating effectively.
Then I'll roll it up.
And on a saloon car, because you've got to get it past sometimes head restraints, and obviously the windows usually inset, could touch the parcel shelf, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Is that,
So I do this obviously, but on a much bigger scale for a rear window. Also, when I have done chameleon screens in the past, same principle. It's called the reverse split roll. That's the technical trade term that I was taught.
I like that.
You split it, and you've got an exposed bit in the middle.
Like a little scroll.
Yes. Which makes carrying it so much easier. This is also why I go on the driver's side, because then I've got the steering wheel to hold on to. I personally think if you're having a Sunstrip, it should be the darkest one anyway.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point of it?
Well, the thing is, when you're given options, suddenly you've got some thinking to do.
If someone just says to me, just fit it where you want, for starters, it would be down here, and it would be like it was me doing it. But it is very small.
Can you make it a bit lower even now?
Did that answer your question?
Do you operate a guarantee of happiness?
In what respect?
Is that stuck down now?
It is, but I'm not going to refit the rear view mirror straight away until it's just dried out ever so slightly.
You're doing a lovely job there, Kat.
Free windscreen wash. Yeah. That'll work. Cool.
Now it's time, guys, for the front bit of vinyl, which is coined as a wide mouth, you say?
Yeah. Because it makes it like... Best way I can describe it. Obviously, any little scuffs and imperfections you have in this, you will still see through the vinyl.
Yeah, I remember when you did my roof, you had to clay bar it and all sorts.
Yeah, but
this is such a small area that we won't be too worried.
It's not even that. You've got stone chips.
Yeah.
You will see them through the vinyl.
Okay.
Just telling you. And the little scuff you've got on that side, you'll see. I will be putting it not all the way under, because it doesn't need to go all the way under, but I will be doing a lip underneath. And then obviously once you've got your splitter on, you won't ever see underneath anyway, but there will be a neat line underneath the car. So obviously when you drove the hour odd to come and see me again, which I'm very grateful for.
I won't lie though, I don't think it was that clean underneath there anyway. It's too low to get down there.
And I know I'm not wrapping the grille, but taking the backing off vinyl creates static.
Yeah.
Which means any bits, like loose bits of dirt that's on this, will just get drawn to the back of the vinyl.
You keep going.
I'm going to leave that top one dirty now. So this is knifeless tape. I am currently lining it up to follow the flow of the front grille. This stuff is magical.
What's its purpose?
So when I lay the wrap on it, so this will stay on, I will wrap over it. And the thin cotton, so there's a thin line of cotton in there on the green tape, that cuts the vinyl.
Okay.
So I then don't have to get a knife and cut down there.
My paint thanks you for that.
I do have a knife, however, this one, that can cut on paint and not cut paint because this is weighted. So the actual, because I've just put a fresh blade in this, the weight of this knife, I could, if there was vinyl on this, I could run it across there, not put any pressure whatsoever, and it wouldn't cut your paint.
Okay, let's not test that.
But there is a video on my Instagram of me cutting PPF, which is really thick, on a balloon, and I don't pop the balloon using this knife.
Okay.
Just to prove that it can be done.
Yeah, I'm noticing a few stone chips on the front of my car,
yep.
Being this close up. When we did that intro to the camera, we did that after we got coffee, didn't we? Yeah, we got coffee first, didn't we? Then we did the intro to the camera. I noticed when I was walking to get coffee, I was flying without a licence.
Oh.
Don't want to have to put like a fuzzy spot around my crutch on the.
Just loosely tacking it at the moment. Right. And done. And again, starting with corners. I wasn't going to go fully under, but I am now.
Well, if the material's there, why not?
Well, exactly. No one's ever going to see it, but it's much neater. I can't do half jobs.
I appreciate that. Going the extra mile.
Some people snap it. I never feel comfortable snapping it. I just use my knife to grab an edge to take the cotton off. And it's a case of trying to hold the rest of it and making sure you've got enough to pull it.
And we should also mention the protective top layer is still on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then that just cuts that bit that's on the paintwork. Just get rid of that excess. And then you just grab. So that's one layer of it. You always have to remember to make sure you pull the other half that's behind it out. Otherwise the vinyl will never stick.
Yeah.
And there you go. That is one clean, safe cut piece of vinyl on a bumper.
I also like the way that's really matching up with the gloss grills as well.
Yeah.
Black and grey, I like that.
I'm now using the edge of the under tray as my edge point for my knife. There is an ever so slight little gap that my knife just fits nicely into.
That's convenient. There we go.
Cables away.
So there we go, guys. That's the end of the work. Kat's done a great job today. Thank you very much for that. We've now got tinted windows. We've now got the big wide mouth grille. And we've also got the Sunstrip, which
tiny Sunstrip.
Kat thinks is very small, but I think it's just perfect. But thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
If you like this video, give it a like and please subscribe to the channel and look at the back catalogue on the playlist for this car. This car's still not finished with modifications. There's more to go yet. See you on the next video. Okay, and cut.